This is the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XC Goldline Special Edition. But this bike has given me one massive problem today, so find out in the video what that is. I've just bought some new audio sound recording equipment for the riding shots, so it's the first time I've used it in this video, so let us know in the comments below what you think of the sound of the bike riding along. I haven't been able to check it yet because I won't know till I download the shots onto the computer and start editing, so fingers crossed the riding shots sound even better than usual. I did say in a previous video that we'd reviewed all the Bonnevilles and my favourite was the Triumph Speedmaster. But then I realised we'd never ridden this one. So this XC has never been ridden by us until now. And we did review the XC version about 2.5 years ago. And something about it, I just felt it was twitchy. I don't know why, but this one isn't, thankfully. So I've ridden it everywhere today. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it's like. This version of the Scrambler and the XC are bigger than the other Bonnevilles. They're much taller and you've got a slightly different frame. You've got a 21-inch front wheel and 17-inch rear on these. 21-inch gives you more off-road ability. It rolls over things much easier, so that's great. It's got 200mm of suspension travel, which is 7.8 inches front and rear. The XE has got a tiny bit more than that. The wheelbase is 1,530mm, 25.8 degree rake and 121mm trail. All those dimensions give you the handling. It handles really nicely. It corners nicely, it's responsive, it's stable. It's a great bike to flick around, and I've been having a lot of fun on this bike, I must say, and you'll see in the riding shots. It's a really good fun bike to ride, and it's got plenty of oomph. I'll go into the power figs and all that in a minute, but it's got tons and tons of oomph. But because it's quite a torquey engine as well, even at sort of 2,500 RPM, there's enough torque on tap to sort of burble along and open it up, and it will still take off. So it's a great bike to ride at slow speeds and at fast speeds. It does sound nice, I must say. It's hard to tell because I had the mic and the thingy speakers in my ears. But it sounds like it's a kind of a built-in rattle in there to give you that raspy sound. I don't know if it's true or not, but it obviously has to comply with regulations and things. So I know a lot of car manufacturers put some sort of different metal things in the back there to give it some sort of different sounds. So I've got a feeling that might be what they've done here. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. But it does sound quite nice. It does get hot. Not so hot that you're burning yourself, but when I stopped and slowed down, I could feel the heat coming from the engine, and it's not that hot today. On my BMW R18, which has got the big cylinders sticking out, and your feet sort of are quite close to them, that runs really cool. It's air-cooled, but that runs really cool, whereas a lot of water-cooled bikes, you can feel the temperature of the engine much more. The suspension on this is really good. It absorbs the bumps nicely. It does crash into the big potholes on the roads somewhat, but then it does absorb it, so not a problem there. On the light stuttery bumps, it's really good. I did some trail riding down some farm tracks, no problem whatsoever. The bike handles it beautifully. I love the look of the twin shocks at the back here. Sometimes it's nicer than a monoshock, and it does give you more room here for other stuff. But I do like the look of that, and it does ride the bumps really nicely. While we're on the subject of suspension, the suspension is adjustable front and rear, so you can adjust it on the piggybacks here and down there, and you can adjust the fronts here. So quickly going front to back, the tyres are good on the road, good in the dry, but limiting on slippery grass and wet stuff, so you can change that depending on your needs. Double discs up front, really nice. You've got upside down forks, thankfully not gold anodized. Black is beautiful, thank you, love it. Bash plate under there, or skid plate, whatever you want to call it, radiator here at the front. These sort of scramble style exhaust pipes. The controls are all in the right place. The brake lever and the gear lever are just right. If I was wearing motocross boots, I might have to adjust them a little bit, but they're fine for these cowboy boots, no problem there. The back's very beautiful. I like the look of the mudguard, the little light here, the indicators, all nicely done. And you could shave down the sides of your number plate 11mm from the edge of the outside digits or letters legally, so do that if you've got one of these bikes, or any bike, because it makes it a bit smaller and a bit safer. You've got the tubeless tyres on this with the spoked wheels, so the spokes come to the edge. It's not as good looking, in my opinion, as the tubed tyres, but a lot of people wouldn't ride a bike without tubeless these days. So let us know what you think on that one. That's controversial. I quite like the feel of tube tyres myself, but I know there's a problem if you have a blowout. So it's a good thing to have. Just looking at the frame, you've got the lovely cradle frame on these, which I love. The stand is very good on this. The seat is really comfortable. I love a bench seat because, being taller, it enables you to move backwards and forwards on the bike without restriction. That's brilliant. So if you're a taller person, this bike should be on your list, because it's a nice riding position. As I said, you know, I'm sitting back here, off balance, and there's plenty of room here. I don't know how I look because I haven't seen myself from the side yet, so you tell me, but you can sit here for the corners off-road and stick your leg out, or you can sit further back, and as I said, you're not restricted by the seat. Of course, you can have a pillion on the back and you've got the foot pegs and everything, but it does give you more movement. So definitely one of the bikes I would say would be suitable for taller people. The price of this bike is £13,095 on the road in the UK in the Goldline Special Edition. The black one is £12,295, or if you want the two-tone black and red or black and green, it's £12,695 in the UK. If you're in a different country, go to Triumph's website and have a look and find out how much it is in your country. Same with the specs. I'm not going to give you all the specs. Go to the Triumph website. They're all listed. You can read through it, compare bikes, and that's what you should do if you're looking for a new bike. Compare all the specs, weigh them up, and knock off the ones you don't like until you get to a short list of 2 or 3 and go and test ride them. So hopefully this review puts you in that position to say, yeah, this is on my list. I'm going to go to the dealership and have a test ride and go from there. On these you've got 89 brake horsepower at 7,250 RPM, which is plenty, let me tell you. 110 Newton meters of torque at 4,500 RPM, that's 81 foot-pounds, and that's plenty too. So with the 6-speed gearbox and the weight of 230 kilos, this is a quick bike, let me tell you. And in the real world, do you need to go any quicker than this? I don't think so. You've got the 270-degree crank firing order. Look it up, it's complicated, but that gives you a nice sound and a character, but it's quite smooth at the same time. So I do like that. have a 16-litre fuel tank here, beautifully painted. I do like these Goldline special editions. It is nicely done. And that will give you 4.6 litres per 100 kilometres of fuel economy, or 61 miles per gallon in GB, Great Britain, or 51 USA gallons. So again, I don't know why we've got different sized gallons, but we have. So there's the figures. As if all that wasn't amazing enough, you've got a 10,000 mile service interval on this, which is superb. So with all that performance, all those looks, that is something that is an additional bonus. Right, getting nitpicky now. On this bike, you've got, I think, too many different shades of silver. You've got this one here, which is different from that one there, which is different from that one there, and that one there, and that one there. So it's kind of a bit of a mixture of silvers and different from that one there. But the swing arm here has got this beautiful, sparkly, metallic silver, and I think that should be on all the silver parts. Of course, some of it's just brushed aluminium and what have you, but I think when you have more than 3 colours, it can clash. And because you've already got the red and the black and the gold line on the tank, and you've got lots of black on the bike, which is fine, but there's different shades of black. You've got a shiny black here and a different black there. So there's a little bit too many colours that can kind of clash, and you've got a brown sort of seat as well, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think the whole lot put together, and especially with these gold anodized piggyback reservoirs on the shocks, if only they'd have kept to black like the upside down forks, then that would be much nicer looking. But I'm being nitpicky, but as a sort of design fan, if you like, I like things to be just so, and that would just give it that finishing touch in my mind. So if this were my bike, I would remove these covers here and expose what's underneath. I'm not so keen on things that aren't functional. I think it's nice to have them. I saw a bike, now hello to, I can't remember your name, but I met this guy at Chester BMW, which is no longer Chester BMW, it's Chester Harley Davidson and KTM now. And in the car park he had this Triumph T100. It was about 10 years old, and I looked at it and thought, it's got a carburetor, fantastic, it looks really nice. I said to him, oh, what is that with a carburetor? He said, it's not a carburetor, it's actually fuel injection, but it looks exactly like a carburetor. Now that is good. These kind of covers are sort of made to look a little bit like carbs, but they're not so much on this one, but certainly on some of the other Bonnevilles. I'd be inclined to do away with that. And these things here as well, you can sort of, depending on what you're wearing, get your trouser caught in the sharp bit of that. In here, I'd do away with that, and I'd kind of pull it back, make it more minimalistic. I'd actually change the exhausts. I know TEC or Tech Parts do exhausts for these. You could get a nice raspy sounding pipe that's a bit smaller. Not necessarily up here either, because sometimes it's nice when they follow the line of the frame. That looks good. So this is a bike you could just do a few little tweaks to make it really, really beautiful. And I did say I've got a problem with this bike, didn't I, at the beginning? And the problem is, this is now probably my favourite Triumph Bonneville. And I love the Speedmaster, that was my favourite, but this pips it, I think, because it's got that classic beauty, yet it's a real hoot to ride, it's great fun, it will go anywhere, it's good on the motorway, you can go along at 70 effortlessly, and there's tons more oomph if you open it up to overtake if you need to. And you can burble around the country lanes, the city streets, you can commute on it, you can do everything on it. You've got a nice high riding position, it's roomy, you don't feel cramped up on it. So really, I tell you what, this is now, it is my favourite Bonneville, I'm going to say it, it is my favourite Bonneville. It's just stunning to look at, it's stunning to ride. What more can you want? So if this is off your radar, put it onto your radar and go for a test ride, because I think this is one of the best bikes they make. adventure bikes. This will do everything an adventure bike will do. If you could strap luggage to it, and I'm sure there's accessories, I haven't really looked into it to be honest. I'm sure you can put panniers on it and boxes and things if you need to. If you couldn't, I'm sure you can make racks to do that. Now this looks beautiful. Adventure bikes should look like this. At the moment, adventure bikes are the most hideous motorcycles on the planet, in my opinion. And this is beautiful. I mean, you could have this styling, like the bigger tanks they used to have on the Paris Dakar rally bikes in the 90s or 80s. Go back to that styling for adventure bikes. So really, this is everything an adventure bike is without the big bird from Sesame Street, pointy plastic beak and all that other stuff. So this is surely much better. I mean, it's much cooler, isn't it? And why not have a motorbike that looks the part as well as goes the part? And I think that this bike does both. So coming to the front here, the mirrors, okay, I can see about half the road-ish. So they're not too bad, better than a lot of bikes. The levers all feel nice. You've got a cable clutch, which I like. Always get a better feel with a cable. Your on and off switch here, your home button and hazards. On the left, you've got your lights, of course, your mode button and indicators, and you can scroll through stuff. You've got various modes. You've got road, rain, sport, off-road and rider configurable. I can't be bothered to rider configurable anything. And this speedo thing here, I'm not mad on it, if I'm honest. I would, if this was my bike, because I do like it that much, I would get that off. I'd put a small analog speedometer and rev counter with just a digital thing underneath. And the modes, you just scroll through and change them, and that's it. I don't want to configure modes. Honestly, I don't want to do all that. I know people do like doing that. If you like doing that, tell me. But I don't think it's not necessary. There's enough modes on it that have been factory configured, more than enough. So that's fine. And with the Triumph modes, you don't get a great difference in feel between the modes. Like some bikes, it goes from being docile to mental. They're sort of more evenly spaced on the Triumphs. The handlebars, for me, I would prefer them a little wider. I actually like really wide handlebars. So I'd do that and probably raise them up an inch or two. And that would suit my style of riding better. I'd kind of make it more old school scrambler, I think, that's what I'm saying. And that would be a really good start. The foot pegs are fine. You can take the little rubber thing out so you get more grip if you're off-road riding. Under the seat here, you stick your key in there, take the seat off. There's a little compartment where you can flip up and put your phone. It's got some padding in it, which is good. And it's got a USB connector, which is fantastic. So that's a good thing to have. Sometimes it's nicer to have it there, for your sat nav on your phone, but you can get, a mount or something there. That's not a problem. And you could run a cable discreetly somewhere, but as I said, it would be nicer to have a USB thing at the front there for that reason. But otherwise, it's good to have it out of the way. So there we have it, the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XC. I always have to look at the thing because I think XC. Anyway, let us know what you think of the bike.